Struggling with debt? Bills, loans, credit cards? Need a way out? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. Free, impartial advice on all your debt matters.
This is Kugan Cassius for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. Delighted to be joined once again by very tanned, possibly looking Ricky Hatton, who's been out in Tenerife for about... Seems like you've been out there for ages, Rick.
It was, yeah. I went out there for 4 to 5 weeks, I think it was, in the end, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I had a good time. I mean, there was nothing really to come home for. As I've spoke to you before about it, my lads really haven't got dates because they're on, like, ticket deals and stuff like that. So, thought it was with me and the family might as well stay a few extra weeks. So, yeah, enjoyed it. But still very worrying times. We seem to be making one step forward and 2 steps back, don't we?
I know. And with obviously the latest set of rules, etc., it just seems like it's in a worse situation than previous.
Yeah, you know, it seems to be rising. Depending, I don't know. It depends on sometimes. You know, depend which channel on the TV or which internet site on the internet you look. You know, sometimes it's looking positive, and then you put another website and someone's saying it's doom and gloom. You just you don't know what to believe, do you? To be honest with you, you know. But then we just crack on. You know, I'm in the gym with the lads, train the lads, because I mean they're not just training for the next time they get a date. They're training for hopefully the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. So you know they've got to be in the gym, still got to be learning, and then hopefully when we get a little bit of better news where they're going to start opening venues, and letting a few supporters go in the boxing shows, then they'll be ready, won't they? But at the minute, there's still no sign. I think they'll be lucky. I mean, there's some lads out there that are very fortunate to box. You know, on the Matchroom show, you know, or you know, on Sky or BT, because obviously the TV, the money's being generated. But for the lads that you know are dependent on how many tickets they sell, if there's no crowd there, they could be waiting a while, mate. Which is a shame, really. So.
Yeah, I mean, boxing does look like it obviously is continuing, but yeah, the crowd element looks very, very bleak. Whether there'll be a crowd by the end of the year.
It's pretty worrying for that amateur side of the game because I think the ABA have turned around point blank and said we're not even going to look at it till January. So I think you're going to get a lot of kids will either fall out of love with the game because there's just nothing going on for them, the poor sods. And I think the amateur game, I think they're going to lose some of the stars because I think if there's no sign of and they're not even bothering to look at it till January. I think there's a lot of go pro.
Mm. Yeah, that's definitely an effect on that. A lot of people's kind of because they might look at it as a wasted period of time. So, and if they don't turn pro at a certain time, that's definitely going to have some effect.
And don't forget, when you're at a young age, you like these youngsters, you're young and your mates are all going out and this and that and all the rest of it. You know, you don't mind doing your boxing if you've got a date to strive for or a tournament or something like that. But if there's nothing nothing for these youngsters and these good prospects coming up, nothing to strive for, they'll either chuck the towel in or go pro. And I think, I know it's a shame, but I think the amateur game will probably suffer.
No, absolutely. I know it's been a while now, Rick. It's been a month since Dillian Whyte's defeat to Povetkin. We haven't spoke to you, obviously, since then. We've been away. But, yeah, did it shock you what happened at Fight Camp?
It did shock me, to be honest with you, because he was boxing brilliant. You know what I mean? We've seen Dillian, you know, he can have a war and mix it up with people, and he's looked good. But, you know, he was using his boxing ability that night. He was using his jab, controlling the fight, looked well, you know. Took no chances because he knew that Povetkin was a dangerous puncher. He put him down, obviously, twice. And, he just looked like he was... I was in Tenerife watching it, actually, and he just like he was putting the finishing touches to it. And then just that one shot, that left uppercut, my jaw hit the floor. I couldn't believe it. But But you could see there was always that chance because Povetkin, because he's 41, you know what I mean, and he knows he's got a puncher's chance. He wasn't throwing many punches, was he? He was just looking for that one shot. And I think maybe when Dillian maybe thought, I've got the fight over here now, I've got it won, you know, whether he switched off that little split second like you all can do at that time to time, maybe that was it. But he boxed a punch perfect fight for me. And, you know, we've been on here discussing Dillian over a few times, haven't we, how he's been number one contender and he seems to have been there forever and a day, doesn't he, you know, waiting for his opportunity to come. And then when he did get the opportunity, you know, he ended up getting beat, which, you know, you heartbreaking stuff for you when you know someone who's paid his dues and come back from his defeat to Joshua and been looking so well, to then finally does get his, you know, get a fight, get a chance to move on up, and he come off, but he's got the rematch now. So if anyone deserves a rematch immediately, it's Dillian with what's happened with him being number one contender forever and a day. So I think next time he'll be on the ball, and hopefully he'll be a little bit luckier.
Is that the right decision in your eyes? It didn't seem like there was too many better options for Dillian other than to go into the rematch straight away with Wilder Fury 3 possibly happening in December. If he can beat Povetkin November 21st, he can kind of put himself back in contention before they've even had that fight.
Absolutely. I mean, the one thing that last fight told him, I know he got knocked out, but he shows he's got the ability to be at that level, you know, the way he was boxing until he got clipped with that shot. So he definitely knows he's got it in him. It was one of them. We all get cracked on the chin, but it's nice to see him, you know, on his social media, how he's straight back in the gym. He's talking really, really, really positive, you know. And to be honest with you, normally when you suffer from a knockout such as that, at that level, in many ways you've got to build yourself before you get that another shot. Do you know what I mean? And but I think, you know what I mean, I think Dillian, you know, if anyone deserves an instant rematch, is Dillian after what he's been through, because he's paid his dues, as I keep saying. Again, I know I keep sounding like I'm repeating myself, but he pays his dues. You know, he was that number one contender for so long, and then he got his chance and lost it. Normally, you know, it would be a case of where fighters, well, we're going to go back to the drawing board and rebuild now, haven't you? Well, he's not. He's very, very lucky that Eddie's been able to get him a shot straight away. So, yeah, Eddie's done a great job there, you know, to get him the shot, back. But, in fairness, if anyone deserved it, it was Dillian Whyte, wasn't it? With what he's been through. It's been a frustrating time for him.
So, I mean, there's 4 big heavyweight fights kind of between now and the end of the year that have been kind of earmarked in. Whyte Povetkin being one, Usyk Chisora being another, AJ Pulev and Wilder Fury as well. So, I mean, the likely chances of all those 4 fights happening before Christmas, I mean...
Be a tough ask, isn't it? You know what I mean? And the thing is with this lockdown, you know, you've got to try and get a fight in a venue when you can, can't you? So there's not even, you know, be a way you can, you know, if you knew the dates were set in stone and the venues were set in stone, you can say, all right, well, he'll fight him there, then maybe he can fight the winner of that, maybe he can fight the winner of that. But you know, it's just like clutching at straws, isn't it, to get a venue and a date, you know, at the minute. So it's hard, you know, you could really, in theory, plan like, you know, a bit of a round robin. You fight, the winner of him fights him, the winner of him fights him, but with no dates and no real venues. You know, this lockdown has certainly made it harder. If there was no lockdown and there was no COVID, I think the promoters would have an easier job of setting the stall out, wouldn't they? Right, you fight him, and they can build it like that. But at the minute, everything's still up in the air, isn't it? So you don't know. At least we have got a bit of boxing on, but you know, as far as making the big fights go, it's a hard enough job making these massive fights, especially at heavyweight, when we haven't got this crap to deal with. You know what I mean? But now we have. It just puts everything on the back burner a bit, doesn't it? Which is disappointing because there's some belting fights out there in the heavyweights, isn't there?
Absolutely. I mean, Fury Wilder 3, the date that's always been put for that since obviously all this situation with COVID, etc., was the 19th of December. We'll wait and see whether that takes place in Vegas. But I wanted to ask you, obviously, being part of Tyson's team, one of Deontay Wilder's sparring partners, Junior Farr, came out recently and said that Wilder's bicep was injured before the Fury fight. He doesn't know to what extent, but it was a bit of a, not a funny story, but it came out months after this sparring partner coming out and saying that he was in fact had his bicep injured. But I don't know. What do you make of that?
Well, we all bring the excuses out, don't we? After the job's done, wasn't it? I think one of the biggest. I mean, you've got to be honest and say straightforward. If you've got an injury, tell them, cancel the fight, get it rescheduled. I think it's always sometimes. I know you have to go into fights injured sometimes, but I think if you've got an injury, mention it before. If you've got an injury and you don't mention it and you do go through with the fight, don't cry, sour grapes after the fact. I haven't mentioned it or you don't, but then you don't use it as your backup plan when you've been knocked on your ass. So, and it was like, when Pacquiao fought Mayweather, heartbreaking, when he turned around and said that, he was injured and he couldn't do this and he couldn't do that. I am right when I say that, wasn't it? When he was in Pacquiao, when he fought Mayweather, he said he fought injured. And I thought to myself, God, all the people paid all that bleeding money, to watch you. And then you turn around, if that's the case, tell beforehand, so they paid the money for half a fight in many ways. So it's always, dead easy to bring the injury out. But we've had a few from, no disrespect to Deontay, we've had a few from the Maori camp. We've had his sparring partner now saying he was injured. We've had his saying that his suit was too heavy and it wore him down on the ring walk, which that's a fucking corker, Deontay. But no, I just I think we can't take away from Tyson what he did. I think Tyson beat him at his best, really.
Rick, are you saying that if his bicep was injured, which is what is being said, then he should have just pulled out the fight if he wasn't 100%?
Absolutely, because there's so much at stake, isn't there? You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like he has to crutch because he's got to pay his rent, is it, next week? Do you know what I mean? You don't have to crutch at straws to take the fight, anything like that. Put it on, because there's so much at stake. But, if you're going to turn around and, if you're going to go ahead with the fight, you can't complain about the matter after, can you? Because it's disrespectful to your opponent, the fellow who's fought you. You're taking away a bit of his thunder, really, which is wrong, really, because Tyson's performance was spectacular. And I think coming out with an excuse that his bicep was injured a couple of months after, I think it's a little bit disrespectful, I guess.
We'll have to wait and see. Usyk Chisora is also being, well, hopefully that will get announced soon for October 31st. We'll wait and see. I think Eddie Hearn tweeted the other day and saying they are trying desperately hard to get that over the line. That's a good fight, isn't it? To see where obviously what Derek's got left, but also see what Usyk is against a proper seasoned heavyweight. No disrespect to his first opponent, but Derek Chisora's been around and will provide more of a test.
Yeah, well, the question mark is whether Usyk is big enough to mix it with these guys, isn't it? That's going to be the big question. And Derek is probably a brilliant opponent, because obviously Derek's entertained us for years, hasn't he? He's had some absolutely fantastic wins, some great fights. He's been top of the bill so many times, but he's the perfect gauge for Usyk. I think someone like Derek, I think because we've been Derek and we've seen who he's been in with, and we've known Derek for years. It'll be interesting to see, what job Usyk does, and we can gauge it a little bit. We'll know more about how good he's going to be in the heavyweight division against the big boys when he fights Derek, because Derek is I think it's the right test for Usyk as he's going into the heavyweight division. I think it's a perfect fight for him, and Derek, hopefully, hopefully maybe Derek can turn his career, get his career back going. You know what I mean? If he wins that, then he's back in the picture, Derek again, isn't he? So it's a good fight for Derek, and we'll know a lot more about Usyk, at the final bell, won't we? Yeah, because Derek is a good person to where we can gauge it a bit.
And then obviously AJ Pulev, which has been again touted for December 12th from Eddie Hearn. no official confirmation, but that is the date that they've got penciled in. Potential banana skin there, or not?
Well, yeah, he's in a no-win situation, is he? But I mean, Pulev will be proper up for that. That's Pulev's opportunity, and when everyone who fights AJ now, what I'm going to think because of the Ruiz fight that they've got to have a chance. You know what I mean? And why wouldn't they? But I think AJ. I fancy AJ in that. I think it's a dangerous. Test for him, but I think it's one he should come through. He's got that money. Got beat by Ruiz. He won the rematch. Got all his belts back. He's over the disappointment now. He's put that behind him. But Pulev is a very dangerous fighter. He's a tricky one for him. He's a no-win situation, but I mean, it's a fight he's got to take. There's no fights out there, Hugo. You know what I mean? Everybody's searching for a date, searching for a fight. So you've got to. He was in no choice. He had to take it. I know it is a bit of banana skin, a bit of a no-win situation for him, but he had to take it because there's nothing else coming up at the minute. And if he does take it, wins, and then hopefully the other lads get their wins as well. And then hopefully we can sort something out further down the line in the year. But it's a dangerous fight for him. A bit of a no-win situation. So it could go a bit tits up, but I think AJ will know too much. Yeah.
But Ricky, thank you very much for your time as always. And,
as always, no problem, mate.
I will, let you crack on with your day, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, keep in touch, and hopefully a few dates will happen. If these heavyweight title fights we've been speaking about there, they'll get boxed off, and a bit of progress is being made. But I think it's tough. I think it's going to be very, very tough. You know what I mean? You need them fighting pretty close together so they can then fight the winner of the winner, can't they? You know what I mean? But they seem like a little bit spread out. So you think, he may win that and he may win that, but when are they both going to fight each other? It could be fucking light years away, couldn't it? Which is it's a shame. But hopefully we'll get it sorted, mate. It'll get sorted soon.
Okay. Rick, thank you very much. And we'll catch up with you soon, mate. All right?
No worries. Take it easy, pal.
Thank you, mate.
Struggling with debt? Bills, loans, credit cards. Need a way out? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. Free, impartial advice on all your debt matters.